Hello and welcome to this edition of the Exploited Times. Today we will be discussing the topic fueling the environmental crusade. Use the mirror. Now, the best way to get someone to shut the fuck up is to put a mirror in front of his face. Every day there are hundreds of media pieces delivered by personalities and writers who are apparently very passionate about their topics. For instance, every day any number of so-called environmentalists will berate the president or government for a toothless EPA, lax smog rules, and related enviro complaints. Each of these enviros is indubitably a personal contributor to smog and pollution, yet somehow deems it appropriate to criticize others instead of himself. I can't tell you how many articles I've seen containing some variation of the following idea. Well, the other day I was driving around in my car while lambasting traffic and uncontrollable use of fossil fuels and global warming, etc. Can these people see or hear themselves? Quite obviously not. Even Bill McKibben, author and advocate for climate change awareness, recently concocted a campaign to convince the Obama administration to reinstall solar panels up on the White House roof, where Jimmy Carter used to have his panels when he was in office. The campaign basically consisted of driving a minivan from Vermont loaded with solar panels and enviro advocate students to the White House with an accompanying press release. McKibben is best known for his epic year-long climate-speaking tour, wherein he flew around the world preaching climate science for 365 days straight. He also acknowledges in his book called Earth that airplanes are some of the most egregious polluters contributing to climate change today. Well, McKibben subsequently laments the melting of Himalayan snow after flying there to witness this phenomenon in person. The science presented in McKibben's writing is convincing, and it is quite likely McKibben, the founder of 350.org, is himself a believer of it. But the point here is that every single enviro head we've seen, heard, or read is for the reduction of fossil fuel use. Yet every single enviro head we've seen, heard, or read is likely to use more fossil fuels while attempting to convince others not to use fossil fuels than does the average non-enviro head simply going about his ordinary day. Why is that? Well, the answer is quite simple. It takes a hell of a lot of fossil fuels to lead the fight against the use of fossil fuel, and that's the fact. Just ask environmentalists. In fact, it's been speculated that many environmentalists are stockpiling fossil fuels, not to keep them from releasing the devil carbon into the skies, but to ensure that they will have enough reserve fuel to continue traveling around the globe advocating against the use of fossil fuel. In fact, these enviros dismiss accusations of hypocrisy and are simply too busy pointing fingers at carbon polluters to address minute details such as the carbon pollution generated by the environmentalists themselves. Apparently, if one is morally against the use of fossil fuel, he is automatically awarded a carte blanche carbon generating quota. How's that for an end around the EPA? Indeed, the positions taken by these environmental crusaders is a peculiar one, not to mention idiotic and hypocritical. We suggest the enviros focus the mirror on themselves and study the aggregate fossil fuel use of the environmental crusade, instead of wasting their fuel campaigning against those who sell them fuel, which in turn powers their crusade against fuel sales. Try getting your head around that. Talk the talk and then drive to your next talk. Well, this is the same kind of bullshit we see from energy industry flacks who downplay any negative effects caused by their industry. In reality, environmental campaigns are no cleaner than fossil fuel campaigns once all the bullshit is sucked out of them, and each operate with the same degree of despicable impunity. We wonder what would happen if anybody actually supported anything. Instead of just marketing, and feigning support. Alas, and quoting Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, we cannot congratulate them. Thank you for joining the Exploited Times.